And just like that, we're back. We take on Port Adelaide in a huge game at the MCG. Let's get into it. So before we get into it, again, if you are watching me and you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell. It goes a long way. It's free. It goes a long way. It helps with the views, helps with engagement and getting this content out. And I would be just much appreciated if you could do that. If you are watching and you are subscribed, God, thank you so much. If you know a Collingwood fan who's not subscribed, send this to him. Tell him to subscribe. Let's get this show on the road. There's a lot of big things happening this year, and I'd love for you all to be a part of it. Now, with that out of the way, Collingwood, Port Adelaide, Saturday afternoon at the G. It's going to be a good day, I think. The last time I checked, the BOM, the Bureau, and it is going to be an insane game. Port Adelaide are absolutely flying this season. They sit 4-1. They're in the top 4, and people are, rightfully so, praising them for everything that they do. And, you've got Butters, Rosie, Houston, Drew, Holland Francis, Dixon. Their team is absolutely stacked. And we saw the best of Port last season, not when they were playing, like in that second game when they were playing us. We saw the worst of Port as well. But this Port team at the moment, they look a lot different. They look better. They look more gelled. They look like they know what they're doing more. And I guess that's evident with a 4-1 winning ratio at the moment. That's why they're in the top 4. And look, I love the way Port go about it. Could this be their year? Maybe. They've got a really good team. They've added Soldo to that team that really helps in that sort of ruck department. And it's going to be a huge test for us on Saturday against this Port Power machine. Thankfully, it's at the MCG. We've beaten Port the last 3 times. You just got to go back to round 2. I know it's round 2 last year is so long ago, and that doesn't matter anymore. But we smashed them by 60-something points at the MCG last year, and then we obviously beat them only by 2 points towards the end of last season. But this Port side, they are good. I get that. They're really good. But I do want to point out something, that in their 4 wins, 3 of those wins have come against bottom 4 sides. They've played West Coast and they won by 40 points. They've beaten Richmond and they smashed. Oh, sorry, beating Richmond. So that's the 2 bottom 4 sides, and then they smashed. Essendon. So Essendon's not a bottom 4 side. Sorry, I misspoke. So they beat 2 bottom 4 sides, and then they absolutely annihilate Essendon. And yes, they should be annihilating these teams, which makes sense. But their loss came against Melbourne, who are pretty much a top 4 side and another really good side. They lose by 10 or so points. So when they're challenged by these bigger teams, they tend to drop off a little bit. Look at Fremantle. Yes, Fremantle only won a couple of games. They've lost their last 2, but they really pushed Port right to the end of last week's game. Port only wins by a couple of points. So when there's a really good team in front of Port, they start to crumble a little bit. And are they flat track bullies who are bullying these teams that are lower than them, and thus putting their ratings up a lot more? Or are they a well-oiled machine who can beat these bigger sides when they're coming up against them? The thing is, though, Collingwood can be one of those 2 sides. Collingwood can be a team that's lower than Port. Technically, we are lower than Port at the moment. We're in the bottom 8. But they could also be one of those teams that put up a fight and could be a top 4 team. We've seen that. We've seen Collingwood at their best this year. We've seen Collingwood at their absolute worst this year. It's who rocks up. What Collingwood team rocks up to play against Port on Saturday Arvo? Collingwood we've had our own problems this year. We've had our own problems this season. Yes, we're on a 2-game winning streak, which is always nice. But now we come up against a top 4 side, and we were able to dispatch of Brisbane. We were able to bring our trademark pressure, trademark turnover style game. High scoring. We did everything well against the Lions. And then we see the worst of Collingwood the next week when we play Hawthorn, and we only beat a bottom 4 side by 4 points. So that's why I say that we could absolutely beat Port Adelaide, but we have to rock up. The right Collingwood team have to rock up. That's the thing about Collingwood at the moment. Anyway, we haven't had enough games to know which team we are. Are we the team that lost the 3 games in a row, or are we the team that smashed Brisbane, dispatched of Hawthorn in that first half, only won by that game by 5 points? But that's the best of us. But we have also seen the worst of us. I think this week off really helps. I talked about it in our mid-season. Oh, mid-season. It's not even mid-season for this bye. I talked about it in our season thus far video where this bye came at the right time. We played 3 games in 12 days, travelled a couple of times, travelled three Travelled 3 times: Sydney, Brisbane, and then down to Adelaide. So travelled 3 times, which isn't like us. But now we get to play at the MCG. We get to play home, which is really, really nice. I don't think there's going to be much change to the lineup. Obviously, that Nathan Murphy news doesn't help. He was never going to play this weekend anyway, but that doesn't sort of help. But thankfully, we have Billy Frampton to sort of offset that. The only sort of change that could happen is Scott Pendlebury might come out of the side because of those fractured ribs. By all reports, he trained really, really well. So they're going to give him all up until probably the Friday or the Saturday where they have to finalise those teams. Or they finalise them on Thursday, but they might make him a laid out or whatever. Give him every single chance that he can to play. So if Pendlebury comes out, we might see, do they give Lockie Sullivan a go? Do they give Finn McRae a go? I don't really know, but Pendlebury out would really hurt us. We saw that in the second half against Hawthorn. Other than that, not really many changes. The week off gives everyone a rest and the opportunity to work on their craft because we're doing the fundamentals wrong. And footy is all about fundamentals. And Craig McRae says this every single week. And what better way to show that, we've only had a mid-season, an early season blip on our sort of radar, and we're getting our DNA back, like Nick Dacos said in that interview, that we are starting to get our DNA back, then against a good team like Port Adelaide. The thing about beating Port, it all starts in the middle, doesn't it? Rose, Butters, Jason Horne-Francis, an insane trio of guys. And what are they? Like, they're not older than 24. So they're all starting to hit, well, not all, Jason Horne-Francis is still very young. But they are hitting that sort of peak and they are working really well together. So we don't play tag, and we're not going to play tag at all, but we do have to negate them. That's where Tom Mitchell comes in handy. That's where Jack Crisp comes in handy. That's where you're putting that pressure on, you're putting those tackles on. And I dare say one of the main sticking points is that we need to stick tackles. Too many times this season, I've seen us go in for tackles. This is prior to the Brisbane game. Go in for tackles, one hand, and then they just break away. Horne-Francis, these sort of guys, they're built big. They're going to want to take the game on, and you have to stop them in their tracks. An immovable force meets an immovable object. You have to stop them in their tracks. So our pressure has to be up. We have been getting our pressure back. We were plus 30 with tackles against Brisbane. I think we were plus 15 or something against Hawthorn. We have to be at least plus 25 with our tackling against Port Adelaide to be any chance of winning this game, because pressure makes diamonds, and we want to win. The win is the diamond, and our inside 50, forward 50 tackles, that's where Lockie Schultz, Bo McCreary, Jamie Elliott, all these guys get to work doing their best work in that forward 50. This game is going to be hectic. We had the best pressure points last week or the week before against Hawthorn at Gather Round. We have to beat that against Port Adelaide if we are to win. Someone told me today, crept into my DM, said Charlie Dixon might be out, might be rested. I don't know if it's true or not, but we'll see. But as well, Travis Boak might not play. It could be a really good time to knock off Port Adelaide, especially after their really hard-fought win against Fremantle last week. And we saw what a hard-fought win did. We beat Port last year by 2 points, and then the next week, didn't we lose to Carlton the next week or something like that? Because we were just absolutely wrecked after a really big win. So or a hard win. So I think I think we do knock them off. I honestly have a really good feeling about this, and I think we knock off Port Adelaide. I think it's going to be a really close game. We win. My prediction is that we win by 8 points. Nick Dacos is probably going to get tagged by Willem Drew, but I think De Goey has a blinder. I think that Hawthorn game really put him up in good stead, and he's going to have an absolute blinder. We need him to, and we absolutely need him to if Dacos is going to get that tag by Willem Drew. But look, guys, it's pressure, 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 pressure. That's how we're going to beat Port, and I need to knock Port Adelaide off. It's just that flat track bullies that's not sitting right with me, and I think we will knock them off. Like I said, it's going to be a really good game. 2:45 Saturday. I'll be there. Come see me. If you see me, say hi. I love and appreciate you all. This has just been my preview. Let me know your thoughts down below. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets, and until next time, double shackers, I'll swoop you later.